Laura 1, come on in and sit a spell, and I'll teach you how to make cornmeal stuffing or cornmeal dressing. In Appalachia, we usually call it dressing. And it usually is around Thanksgiving or Christmas when we're having our turkey or chicken, and we'll put it a lot of times around that instead of just baking it by itself. But right now, I was going to do it at Thanksgiving, and I did take a few little videos and pictures of stuff, but you know, it was crazy. You know how Thanksgiving is. So my dad's in the mood for it, and he's stuck back in the holler like we are, and it's cold this time of year, and I thought that will be very good and very satisfying because it's got that little bit of pepper in it, and it's just spicy. I make I make good dressing. I ain't bragging, but it's my mama's, and it's as close to mama's as I can get it. And I've never tasted anybody's that was quite as good as hers. And so I do have that recipe in my head. And of course, you know, it's sort of just thrown together and you hope for the best. But if you can just sort of follow along with me, you can figure out, and you can tweak it from year to year until you figure out how to make it just right. So we'll get started. Got to make my cornbread, you know, first. Got to have cornbread in it. So I've showed you how to make cornbread before. You can look back if you need to look and see how I make the cornbread. Okay, I wanted to show everyone all of my skillets, and that one I don't like at all. But I have to keep greasing it some and letting it bake to get better. I think it must have been a cheaper brand of cast iron. But anyway, we got it at like a yard sale. But anyway, I'm going to make all of these with cornbread in them. That little bitty one's going to be Pop's. You know, he likes to have that to eat with milk. He calls it milk and bread. But anyway, that's my cornbread skillet. This one I use for other things. And then so that one I'm going to use, because I got to have this one and this one to make my cornbread stuffing or dressing, whatever you want to call it. I like to call it dressing, but dressing, a lot of times people think you're talking about like salad dressing, but no, we call it in Appalachia dressing because it goes with our turkey. And I got all kinds of cast iron skillets there, as I've showed you. And the one is my special cornbread skillet, and the little bitty one's Pop's. So anyway, let's get started on this because it's a little bit of a job, but I'll show you and tell you what all the ingredients are, and then we'll get mixed up, and we're going to enjoy it because I could eat it all year long, and that's usually what we eat at Thanksgiving. Dad and I, we you know, all the things that's so good, we'll eat it for days. We'll have it for sandwiches, or we'll do whatever, but we don't get burnt out on it. That's what we call it when you get foundered on it, or when you get, you've eaten so much that you never want to look at it again. No, we don't get like that, and I'm glad because it's just something, I guess it's because we don't have it very, very often. So anyway, I'm rattling on. Give me a minute, we'll get this thing going. So okay, I wanted to show you something. Now this came out of the little skillet that I always make for Pop, and this is another skillet that is not my cornbread skillet, and I couldn't get it to come out, and so it's just going to be cut all to pieces, which is okay because I don't have to have a whole loaf, a whole pone for my dressing. Is all going to be crunched up and tore up anyway in it, so that works out fine. But this is why you want to never wash, never put anything else in your cornbread skillets, because they get good and slick. You don't have to, you know, do nothing to them but wipe them out, and they're clean. And just wipe them out with a dry paper towel, and they come out looking like that, your bread does. So, and just falls right out, and that's why you want it. Now, if you use your cast iron for other stuff too, it's going to look like that. And but I'll show you the big pan when I get it out too, how pretty it is. My real cornbread skillet, my big one. Now, look at that. You see that? That is my cornbread skillet. So, let's I'll move this out of my way. I got my old pot holder here, wore out. And I'm going to put it, and I'm going to flip it into this little paper plate. I hope I don't make no boo-boos, but that'll be all right. Okay, it got on my stove a little, but that'll be okay. It's hot. Did you see that? Did that not just come out perfectly? And that is going to be a good bite of cornbread. So, some of the things that we need for our dressing or stuffing is celery. I don't know, 2 or 3 stalks chopped up real good, a big onion cut up. You know, if you're gonna make more, you gotta put more. So, and I usually make more, even more than this, whenever I am making it for Thanksgiving, because like I said, I have lots of my family over, and then me and Dad, we like to eat it for sandwiches, and this will be sandwich too, because well, of course I just eat it without bread, but Daddy likes it on sandwiches. So there's my 2 pounds of cornbread, and you never know, if I ain't got enough of something and need a little more, I might have to steal a little bit of the pound that I made for Danny for supper after a while, but that's okay. And then you have to have salt and pepper, and you want it a little peppery. And then you will also want to put an egg in it when it's done. And those chicken livers, which I hate to fool with, but the chicken livers, that's what Mom put. So that's what makes it good. So after you cook the chicken livers, they don't look that bad. So I'm drained them. Now I have to get them all smushed up real good. Get anything out of it I don't like the looks of. Probably ain't nothing in it. Looks pretty good, actually. Probably won't have to be picky. Okay, I also forgot to tell you chicken broth. Probably take 2 boxes of it, because we want that real good and soppy and soaked up real good, and wetter than you would think it ought to be to bake. Because if you don't make it very, very wet, it's not going to be moist like you want it. It'll just be dry, like most of the dry dressings that you get anytime that you buy, get it at the restaurant or anything, or that stovetop stuffing one. I like stovetop stuffing, but that's just to eat on and snack on. That's not nothing. That's not the same thing as this at all. And so I got my livers all smushed up real good, so they're in good shape, ready to put into my bowl of all this good stuff. Now I got to get salt and pepper put in it, and then I'll have to put milk. And I'm going to tell you that I think it'll take about a cup of milk. It don't take as much milk as it does chicken broth and stuff. And you know me, I'm always just making it from scratch, and so I don't necessarily measure. And you know, when you make stuff from scratch, and if you start making stuff from scratch, you'll be able to tell. You might hit and miss a time or two, but you'll get better at it all the time. I'm gonna have to spray my pan with some Pound, just so that the stuff doesn't stick so much. And I forgot to tell you that you have to have milk. And I didn't tell you about an egg. You have to have an egg, but we don't put that egg in until we do a taste of the mixture, because we got to put our salt and pepper in there real good, and we got to make sure it's peppery enough so it'll be good like dressing ought to be. And so I don't like to do that with a raw egg, so I will just taste it and with my fingers probably, or I'll use a spoon. It don't matter. When it's you eating it and your family, and you know how clean you are, you don't have to worry about all that other stuff. Everybody's always worried about everything. if you keep your hands clean and all, you own cooking and you own eating and you own families, you'll be all right. Don't stress over every little thing. There's enough to stress about without worrying about something like that. And black pepper it is. I keep saying pepper, I keep forgetting to say black pepper. And I don't know, I'm thinking more than that. I'm thinking 2 tablespoons, 2 palms of your hands full, at least. I've already put about probably 3 tablespoons of salt. So I'm getting ready to put my chicken broth in it. And then I'm gonna mix it up some and taste it and see if I think I got it salty enough and peppery enough. And if I do, then I'll put my egg in after all that's done, because I don't want to eat that raw egg. And so this, yeah, see, I'm gonna show you something. Now you know I use 2 pones, big pones of cornbread. And you know that they were big, and that was a lot. This is a big bowl, but now I put that in it right there, and you can see in the bottom, almost you can see in the bottom. Well, anyway, it's not mixed up. I mean, it's not going to be enough liquid at all, so it will definitely take that other, I'd say the whole thing, box of chicken broth. So I'm gonna stir it in here real good, and I'm gonna put this other one in here, and then I'm gonna see how wet it is. If that ain't wet enough to suit me, I'll put just a tad more, maybe a tad more milk in it. But I want it soggy because I want it moist. So, I ended up, yes, putting both boxes of chicken broth in it. You see how soppy that is? Look at this. I mean, it's wet. It is wet. Now, that's the way you want it. To make sure that I got enough pepper in it, I'm gonna get me a little bit. All this stuff is all done, so it won't hurt you. So let's give this a taste and see if it's got enough pepper in it. It does, but I still about got enough, because I ended up putting another tablespoon in it. Look at me, I'm just shaking away, huh? But this didn't still have that fire. You know, it'll have a little bit more fire to the black pepper after it bakes, so I better quit now. And this is my food, so I'm gonna stick my spoon back in there. I'm gonna try it one more time. Yeah, I believe I'll be satisfied with that. So, I got my egg. I'm gonna add it. Stir that all up good. I have 2 pans, one a little bigger, one a little smaller, because I usually make more than I really mean to, and that's okay, because Dad and I, we can eat that. So I'm gonna pour this in and hope I don't spill it everywhere, because that is a lot of liquid right there. I have to put it in both of them. Get a little bit of that real wet down in there. And now, when you're baking this, you've got to make sure you take your time and bake it. And I like to put tin foil on it too, because it's got to get those that celery. You gotta get that onion all done, you know, because it takes a while for that to get tender. And you want your celery and your onions tender before you get it out. And you know, if you was doing it in a turkey, you would have a turkey on a while, and you might not want it hardly as wet, because you know that turkey's gonna have bunches of juice. Now Daddy loves it like that, when it's just, and I like it like that too, but I mean, it's very soppy, and it's done, but it's very soppy. But so remember that if you're gonna put it around your turkey, like some people do, I usually put some around mine, but then I'll make me a pan of the other. But you got to make it just a little bit drier, because all that juice coming out of that turkey, if you don't put it in, get a little of that grease out, the turkey grease out before you started, it's going to be, you probably won't like it as good, because it'll be done, but it'll be just wet. I mean, you might love it like that, but it still needs to have a little bit of the juice of the turkey out of it before, or at least the mixture drier, before you put it in there to finish baking it. Because you're going to let that turkey bake, you know, an hour, hour and a half before you put that in, because this will probably take, I'm going to put it in a few minutes. I think an hour and a half, 2 hours. And I know in a turkey it takes that long. So usually when I put my turkey on, it ain't too awfully long until I put my dressing in it, because I know, especially with those juices, it's going to take it a while to get done like I want it done. And put your oven on about 400 should do it. That's about right. Okay, everybody, let's get this out. Now, it's not been out of the oven but just a second. It takes about 2 good hours on 400, so this is moist. Now, that bigger pan I might leave in there a few more minutes, but you see how moist? You see how moist that is? So, okay. We've got to give it a good old taste test. I might have to blow it. Yeah. Yeah, I got that pepper in there a little bit more. That made it taste like dressing to me. So, if you want yourself something good, now this will be satisfying on a cold day. And today's been a cold, nasty, you can't do nothing day. So, I guess I'm gonna eat. Can't do nothing else. I guess I'm just gonna eat. So, anyway, you all have a great day. Come back and see me. This is Country Sherry, Country Sherry 23. And I'll have you some more recipes.